her bio, and then we'll jump right in. Dr. Martha Sells is the Dean of Student Services, Dean of Students, DOS, and Assistant Vice President of Student Life at Western Kentucky University. Dr. Sells is both diligent and committed to the success of students. She has over 20 years of grant writing experience. She has been awarded $20 million for the success of students. Aside from her administrative roles, Martha also teaches and facilitates courses and trains students and her colleagues in various areas of expertise. She serves and has served in many capacities throughout the campus community and nationwide, sharing her knowledge in the success of students. As an educator and administrator, Martha is honored to have received numerous awards and recognitions throughout her 27-year career. Martha has the unique ability to inspire and provide insight to others while maintaining a high level of integrity and promoting congruency among all. Her life experiences have given her a deep appreciation for the value of family and blessing others and the opportunity of being used by the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So again, this is our dear friend, sister, presenter today, Dr. Martha Sells.
Thank you, Eleanor. I appreciate
welcome.
you so much. It's always a blessing when I get an opportunity just to hang out with people, whether virtually or face to face. So thank you so much for being here. We will get started because, as Eleanor said, we don't have a whole lot of time, but we have quite a bit to cover. I put in the chat, I asked a couple of questions of you, if you don't mind. David and Katie have responded. The question was, the first question, if you could be any car, all right, if you could be any car, what car would you be? And LaDonna, tell us why. You can put that in the chat for your friends and me. If you could be any car, what car would you be, and tell us why? And then also let me know if you would be, or let us know, automatic, standard automatic, or if you would be 5-speed, 6-speed, or any other universal speed on the highway. All right, so if you could be any car, all right, any vehicle, what would you be and why? And then tell me the car, or tell us the car and what type of gear shift would you have? Automatic, standard? So think about it. I'm gonna give you time. David and Katie have already responded in the chat. All right, thank you, Elizabeth. Great gas mileage, that's good. Thank you, Elizabeth. Very good, Katie. I like your response. Thank you, David. All right, Mickey. Good. All right. Thank you, Miss Cooper. I can see that. A Honda Odyssey, yes. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Mary Craft. Okay. 1976 Pinto. Okay, David. A Honda CRV, very dependable. Okay, Bronco, big and strong. A 62 convertible. Oh, wow, okay. Love it, love it. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Danielle. Arthur. Thank you, P. Murphy. A Bentley, yes. Thank you, Maylene. Okay. Thank you, Chris. Pickup, automatic, fun little truck. Very good. Thank you, Morgan. Outdoorsy, dependable, good. Fast and fun to drive. A Corvette. Thank you, Kristen. Christy. Why not? Very good. All right. Fun to drive. Thank you. A Lamborghini, flashy, automatic. Mercedes, expensive, pretty. A Tesla, environmentally friendly, very good. Thank you, Larry. Automatic full speed truck. Thank you, Robbie. The room and the capability to go wherever and get through anything. Very good. Very good. Very good. All right. I think we have, okay, Lexus. Thank you, Demita. 5 speed. Powerful and fast. Very good. Very good. I think I've heard. I think I counted everyone to maybe one more. Okay, Martha, I got you. One big enough for friends and family and safe and comfortable. Thank you, Eleanor. Chevy, powerful and built tough. All right, I think I've counted all of our participants and recorded their answers. Thank you, Mom Bev. 23 Cadillac, comfortable and dependable. All right, Jerry, is 76 Ford Toronto. Very good. Yeah, I see we've had people join on. Okay, good. Good. All right. Some might say, Dr. Sales, what does this have to do with gearing up for systemic change? All right. As Eleanor, she had presented me or read my bio, some of you have already hung out with me in other workshops and presentations. And I really do think in order for us to make any change, we have to be comfortable in our conversation. Even if the conversation sometimes, I see you, Katie, even if the conversations sometimes are uncomfortable, okay? And so anytime we deal, Jean Ann or Jean, anytime we deal with change, that can be uncomfortable. All right, Jerry, because change is hard. Okay. Would you agree? Show of hands or put a reaction. Change is hard. It is hard sometimes to change. Okay. We even have cliches and adages that say, thank you, Jerry, very hard. You know, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Change is hard. All right. And I often tell students or adults, if it wasn't, everybody would be doing it. Change is hard, people. And usually when we deal with change, that is one common factor that we can all see and agree with, that it is hard. Some of you said very hard. Someone said, yes, change is always hard, but yes, Danielle, worth it in the end. Okay. Change is also constant. Everything is always changing. Seasons change. Morning to night. Year to year. It's constant, but it's hard. And yes, you're exactly right, Ms. Wood. It is worth it in the end. I found with most people, especially systems, where we get caught up is the start. All right. Much like the cars that we're going to talk about today, as we gear up to this systemic change. It's the start. That's usually the hardest part, Eleanor, in change, the start. Okay. Usually once we get in it, yes, we hit bumps over the road. We may have to detour. We may have to exit. We may have to stop. We may have to pull over. We may have to redo some things like oil change, get more gas, sometimes repaint, sometimes take it into the shop and get something fixed. But it's usually the start that prohibits us from making a change. All right. Terry said, change or die. You're exactly right. Change is hard. That's what most of us, the majority of us on this Zoom today said it. It's hard. It's hard for me, but just think about how difficult it is for not only you to change, but a whole system to change. If it's hard for you individually, think about how difficult it is for a whole system to change. So I ask you, and I'm going to take you somewhere in my presentation. I ask you, and I really want you to think about all the reasons that you said you would pick or be a certain car: fast, dependable, classy, expensive, durable, built tough. All of those things you're going to need in order to make a systemic change. Sometimes you got to be classy and change. Sometimes you got to be built tough and change. Sometimes, David, you have to be dependable and committed to the change. Sometimes you can change, but if everybody, Martha, is not in the vehicle with you and you're the only one changing, it can still be difficult in the system that you're operating in. So you need to be able to pick up people. You need to be able to drive them, or they need to trust you to get in the car with you. Change is hard. If it wasn't, everybody would be doing it. But I believe just the fact that you joined on today, you are the people for the job. Right? Terry, the first step to recovery is to admit you got a problem. I'm comfortable in where I am and I don't want to change. Okay, that's admitting we got the problem. So when we're able to admit that we have a problem, that's the first step. That's the start. So I've asked you to think about yourself. Now I want you to think about the system in which you are in, wherever you are. And it doesn't necessarily have to be your work system. For the purposes of this call, it can, but if that's too uncomfortable for you, that's fine. Think about other systems. Think about the good of the system. Think about the bad of the system. Think about the ugly of the system. Think about, is the system that I'm operating in outdated? Is a change needed? So think about the system. Think about the system you're in. Could be a family system. It could be a system where you work. It could be a universal system. For the purpose of this call, even if it's uncomfortable, I want you to think about your day-to-day, the system that you're in. Is it outdated? Think about the good. Are some things that are the system I work in, do they work? Think about the bad. Think about the ugly. Is the system inclusive of everyone, or was the system built for a small target of people and we're still operating in that system, but we have outgrown the system? Is it time for a change? And LaDonna and I met yesterday with Eleanor to make sure, Casey, that everything was working right. And I asked, could you all have the ability to unmute, because I prefer that. I'm just here to facilitate. So with that question, I welcome you to, I dare you to be bold. Think about the system you're in. Think about the good, the bad, the ugly. Is it outdated? Think about, is it keeping people out? Is it presenting a barrier? Let's talk about it. And then we'll go to my slideshow. I want to hear what we are dealing with. Let's talk about the systems that you are operating in. Anybody can unmute and share. Gwen, did you unmute? Maybe not intentionally.
Okay, I will share something.
Thank you, Katie. Can I see your face, or you don't want me to?
Well, my camera points to the side of my face instead of my front. So
Okay,
let's
that's
see.
fine. I
There
understand.
we
You don't
go.
want me to see your profile. I get you. I'm with you. Okay. All right.
Is that
We're
better?
ready. Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Katie. Thank you.
And-
Yes.
And this is actually something that I have dealt with in the last few days. My husband suffers from dementia, and he's been diagnosed with 2 different cancers. He has a biopsy that's scheduled coming up that if it does turn out to be another cancerous spot, it's going to be chemo. If so, with his dementia, does he go ahead and do the chemo, which will make his dementia worse and speed up that process of him dying, or just let him not go through the rigors of chemo and let the dementia take its course? My husband does not want to do the chemo. So, and I've always been, well, we've caught it all early. You know, you can survive all this. But he's 70 years old. He's lived a good life. And he doesn't want to go through that. And so I have had to accept what his wishes, even though they're not mine. So I've had to change my way of thinking and had to take me out of the equation and look at what's best for him.
Thank you. Thank you, first of all, sharing that transparent story. Thank you. That personal story, and in full transparency. I appreciate that, and I will be praying for you and your husband. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. But you brought up some very excellent points. First of all, when we change a system, okay, Katie, we have to think about a whole lot of other factors, people. Okay. So think about Katie's story, but also think about the system which you work in and all the factors that when you take something out of gear, all the other factors that will be presented. Okay. And then what Katie said, I love what you said. She has decided. Okay. That's the start. Systematic or systemic change has to come with a decision. I have the information that we're going to learn today in our short time together. First of all, and Katie said it in her personal sharing, she received the information. When you want to make a systemic change, first of all, get the information. Get the information. Why does it need to be changed, Martha? Who is it going to affect? Is it just going to make it comfortable for me? Is it going to change other things? How is it going to affect? Do I need to ask additional questions? Do I need to see other things? That's why it's operating like it is and how it's operating like it is. Get the information, make an informed Katie decision, and then decide. That's how we make systemic change. We are over it, people, and some of us work in these systems that we're just changing to be changing. Anybody work just changing to be changing and don't know why we changing, and they didn't ask me, and we're changing, but it's not going to impact anybody, David, except me. And they made all these changes over here, and everybody else is fine, and the only change it's going to affect is me. When we make systemic changes, we have to make informed decisions. We have to consider, Beverly Ford, other factors. Very good. Thank you, Katie. Thank you. And you have love in the chat. You have love in the chat from your coworkers. Yes.
I appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you for sharing. Mary Craft.
Yes, I came into my role. I have been mayor of Whitesburg for 2 years now. My husband was mayor for 14 years, and he unfortunately passed away in 2021 of bladder cancer. I went from being a stay-at-home mom to running a city. And even though I didn't have any kind of business background, I didn't have any role of managing anything, and just a household of three, which seemed like a small city sometimes. But when I came into the role, I could automatically see that it was an outdated system here. And although there were so many people who were a lot older than me, I was 34 years old when I became mayor. So I was the youngest mayor, first woman, and the youngest mayor to ever be here in Whitesburg. So my challenge was, how was I going to come in and make these changes that needed to be made in such a dire way? But I did not want to rock the boat right out of the chute, you know. So I had to let people, I guess, get a feel for me, because not everyone had such a positive outlook. Some thought, well, she's coming in, she's going to get rid of a bunch of people, she's just going to change the way entirely. But that is not how I did anything. I wanted people to see that I came from a place of love and positivity, that I wanted everything to be just I wanted to be a cohesive system here. I wanted everyone to be able to work together. Has that always been the case? No, but now after 2 years, everyone has seen that I want what is best for this city. And it's not been easy by no means, but it's great. Everyone has gained my trust and me theirs. And we have slowly but surely made these changes, and we keep doing that over time. I've not always been a patient person, because when I want progress, I want it now. But I have learned over time that when you are dealing with a group of people who have been here way longer than you have, and you want them to make changes, it has to happen slowly, but surely.
Very good. Thank you. You too brought up some excellent points. All right. I don't care, people, what type of car you drive if I don't trust your driving.
Mm-hmm.
My dream might be, as one of our participants has shared, to ride in a Lamborghini. That might be my dream. But I do know that those cars are fast. And if I don't trust the driver behind the wheel, I'm going to be hesitant in getting in that car.
Yeah.
So sometimes, people, it's not just what's on the outside. Do you lead a group that trusts you? Because that's a big part of change. Check your driving.
Mm-hmm.
Check your driving, people. And something else she brought up, and I love, all right, is sometimes it's hard for change to happen systemically, because we've always done it this way. All right. People trust the system, good, bad, or different. They trust me or mistrust me, if we can stay with this analogy and metaphor, because I'm a young driver.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been driving as long as some of the other people in this system. People distrust me because I'm a woman driver.
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't think women can drive. And they definitely don't think a young woman can drive. And so I love the fact that she said systemic change takes time. You just can't say everybody get in and you just drive fast because you want your way or you see things differently. Because what will happen is you'll have people behind you with noise. You will become distracted. And before you know it, you'll be running off the road.
Mm-hmm. You have to coast through.
Yeah. I'm sorry. What'd you say, Mayor Craft?
I said you have to coast through.
Yes. Yes. And sometimes, Mayor Craft, you have to go in the way that you really don't want to go in order to build trust. Exactly. Until they can say, you know what? Oh, I know a shortcut. You do? Okay, I'll trust you now. Mm-hmm. As opposed to somebody in your ear, like, we've never done it this way. This is not the way we go. We're going to get cut off. The road is closed. We're going to have to go around. It's too long. Why are you cutting through here? I don't know this way. Change is hard, but you are the driver. All right. We also have someone in the chat that shared Elizabeth, her family dynamic has been toxic. Eleanor, she said her entire life. And if she gets closer to 50, she's decided, that's the word Katie used, I'm no longer living my life on those bases. Yes, I have to live to be happy and positive. All right. Same way, Elizabeth, we're driving. Sometimes when we're driving, leaders, sometimes we want to make a systemic change, leaders. If we're nervous, if we're negative, if we're toxic, eventually people will start getting in the car with you. Eventually the system will shut down and it won't change. Think about it. Think about it. You are the driver. You. When you think about your systems, personal, professional, combination, are they good? Are they bad? Are they working? Are they inclusive? Are they exclusive? Are they outdated? Are you driving to a place that's only going to lead you taking 10 steps back? You are the driver. Change is hard, but you're the people for the job. So put yourself in the driver's seat. Buckle up. Let's get it. All right, I'm gonna share my screen. All right, can everybody see it? All right, so my question to you, as we've taken a little time to introduce this thing called change and how hard it is and what kind of car you would be, and if you would be automatic or stick shift. All right, now my question that we've set the stage, you have to, this is a personal question, what gear are you in? If you are to lead systemic change, what gear are you in? Do you stay in park? Change is hard. First thing we have to do is start the engine. We have to turn the key. Change is hard. But some of us get to the driver's seat. We do an excellent job. We grab the keys first. After all, we've been here for a while. After all, we know the way. All right, so we get in the car, we drive the key first, we turn the car on, the engine sounds good. In park. All right, so what gear are you in? What gear? All right, what gear are you in? Stop sharing my screen for a minute. All right, and this is a question to you. When you think about the gear that you're in, all right, and I have a PowerPoint, or I'm going to show you, but let's deal with an automatic first. Let's deal with, it's usually park, reverse, neutral, drive. All right, what gear are you in? Anybody can share. What Eleanor said drive. Eleanor said drive. You can put in the chat or you can share. What gear are you in? I say in this moment, all right. Danielle said cruise control. Very good. Very good. Drive. What gear are you in? Drive, good. Good. All right, I'm in the cruise comfortable stage. Very good. These are factors. Thank you, Beverly Ford. Overdrive. Thank you for saying that, Jerry. These are factors. If you truly want to make systemic change in your organization, you have to know where you are. Some of us are just cruising because we are about on the last mile of the way. We're about ready to retire. We're about ready to give the deuces. So we're just cruising. All right. But even in that, people, I encourage you to teach others how to drive. You gotta show others. Much, even if it makes you nervous. Lord knows, Beverly Ford, I have 2 children, a son and a daughter. I taught neither one of them how to drive. They make me nervous then, make me nervous now, and their daddy does too. But they needed to learn how to drive. I'm glad my husband can drive, because guess what? There are times I don't want to drive. So I need others around me in this thing called systemic change. I need others around me every now and then to say, Eleanor, I got it. Here, let me drive. And this comes, leaders, you too then have to trust yourself enough to give somebody else the keys. Some of you are worn, Jerry, absolutely out because you're so used to doing everything. But today I want you to say, change has got to be made. Maybe I'm not the one, Danielle, to make the change. Let me think about who I can give these keys to. So not only am I going to ride in the passenger seat, no, I'm going to get in the back seat. No, I'm not even going to go on this trip. I'm going to relax. I'm going to trust you to make the change within the system. I'm going to hand you the keys. Systematic change comes from creating others who see your vision, who know where you want to go, but you don't always have to be the one driving. Just put your seatbelt on and go. Where do you want to go today? I'll take you. Where does the system need to go? I need to get other drivers because this is a hard road. It's a long road. And I don't want to drive for the 16 hours to get there. I've got to have other drivers in the car with me. So when I get tired, I can hand them the keys. Because change is hard. Change can wear you out. Change can break your heart. Change can pull tears from your eyes. You get tired and you need to trust yourself enough and trust the people enough who are with you to pull over and say, I can't drive today. Please take the keys. Most of you said drive. Danielle Wood said you're correct. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. It may get bumpy. I may not drive like you drive. You all want change, but sometimes you're the only one who knows the change that you need and want. You got to have other people or trust other people enough to give them the keys. And don't make them nervous because systematic or systemic change may not go where you want it to go. You can't always say break, slow down, you're going too fast, get over. Did you see this car in front of you? And this is, I'm testifying because this is what I say to my husband. Slow down, why are you going so fast? Why are you driving so fast? Get over. Oh, do you see this car? They're braking. And sometimes I will even use my hands to, and he says, you are going to cause us to have a wreck. And he's right. Systemic changer. Because sometimes we've got to be comfortable enough to stay in drive. We got to be comfortable enough to say, you know what, I'm going to go to sleep. We got to be comfortable enough, yes, Martha Cosby, to ask them for help for gas. Oh, that's good. Ask for help. I've got this route, but we get ready to pull over because we need some gas. I don't have any cash. Here you go. Ask for help if you really want to change. right? Yes, Davis. Ooh, I love it. David said his transmission slips from time to time. Yes, I love it. Beverly Ford says, stay in our lane and let them navigate. Yes, Jessica, that's hard to do. Don't be too proud, Mayor Craft, to ask for directions in this hard thing called systemic change. Yeah, she said, I'm in neutral, pushing the gas to go forward. However, I'm rolling backwards. That is so true. And you'll find yourself doing that often in this hard thing called systemic change. What do I mean? I mean, Eleanor, we take 10 steps forward and tomorrow it seems like 30 steps backwards. I'm trying to make a change. I'm trying to make a difference. I'm trying to be inclusive. I'm trying to be more open-minded. I'm trying to go in a different direction and I'm almost there. And then something within me, the standard GPS says, turn around. You turn, you turn, you turn. Especially if your GPS has not been updated. Change is hard. But you are the people for the job. You can do hard things. Tell my students that every semester. When they say, Dr. says, I want to drop out. This is too hard. You can do hard things. And you can too, leaders. Yes, Katie, you turn and recalculate, reroute. And for some of you, you're listening to your, metaphorically speaking, you're listening to your GPS way too much. You already know the way. Turn it off. Listen to your heart and make the change. I hate Siri too sometimes. That's hilarious. All right. Any questions there before we go to our next slide? Danielle says, sometimes when we take the unknown roads, we end up in a beautiful place. Yes. Oftentimes, Danielle, thank you for that. Systemic change is not the same way. You do have, but it is. Somebody said it's a beautiful thing. You see things that you otherwise wouldn't have seen if you go a different way. Very good. I love it. You all are excellent. Okay. So again, we've talked about it a little bit. These are the standard shifts to an automatic: parking, reverse, neutral, drive. There's low gear, there's sport mode, there's manual mode, and someone put in the chat, there's also overdrive. And on this road to gearing up for systemic change, you have got to make sure that if you are driving, if you are behind the wheel, if you are in the car, you need to know what gear your system is in order to make successful systemic change. How do we do that? Katie and Mary Craft have already told us that. We make informed decisions. Some of us, we can't drive forward. We can't put it in drive. We have to put it in reverse first in order to get out of some situations. In my garage, I cannot put my car in drive and push the gas because I'm going to go straight through a window. I have to put it in reverse first, get out of the garage, and then put it in drive. When you consider the changes that need to be made systemically within your area and in your culture, think about what gear you need to put it in first. What gear are you in? What gear do you need to be in? Some of us need to be in overdrive. Some things that need to be changed. There's a sense of urgency. We've got to put it in overdrive. Some of us have to be either on offense or defense in this thing called systemic change. So you need to be in the sport mode. You need to decide, what gear am I in? What gear does the organization that I'm in need for me to be in? Change is hard. If it wasn't, everybody would be doing it. But you can do hard things. You are the people for the job. Any questions on, hopefully this made sense. Any questions, any insight before we go to our next slide? Any thoughts? Any thoughts about this? You can unchat, or you can put it, or you can unmute. Mayor Kraft said, I've backed through the garage door before. Just remember to open it, yes, before you put it in reverse. Yes. Don't go up. I see it from my window all the time, from my office, Beverly Ford. People go up one-way streets all the time. I have a one-way street in front. Sometimes we're going up one-way streets. You got to change lanes. You got to get in go the right direction. You got to open the garage door. You all know there's some areas in your system, the garage door is shut. Before you even get behind the wheel, you might need to open the garage door. How do you do it? You make informed decisions. You ask questions. You ask for help, Martha Cosby. This is a manual door. I need somebody to help me open this door. That's how we gear up for change. Yeah, Mayor Kraft, Terry said, mention this some. How do you bring others along with you? Very good. Thank you for that question. We bring others along with us in one or two ways. One, we build trust. We garner trust. We sometimes have to ask hard questions. We have to decide some things that we want to do. As Katie even shared in her personal testimony, sometimes we have to choose our battles. All right. Sometimes that's hard because we want everything done, oftentimes the way we want it done, but we have to choose our battles. With the sports mode, Terry, we have to find out who's on our team. We have to identify some allies and get in the sports mode. We have to also identify some of our critics, those who are opposing us. We have to determine what in our sports mode, are we on offense or are we on defense? And keep in mind that everybody is not always on your team, and everybody won't always in systemic change, and everybody won't always be opposing you. So that's how you get people on your team. Beverly Ford said, communicate, yes, and be transparent in saying, I don't understand this part. Tell others you're good with this, you do this, and I'll do that. Very good. It's negotiation. It's that sports mode. I'm the guard, you're the center. We'll continue to discuss what's best for the constituents. Communication is transparent. Communication, if I'm riding in the car with you, Demita, and you don't know, and we're going to say, you don't know how to drive a stick shift, you need to tell me. Especially if it's my car. You need to let me know. Before I hand you my keys, you need to say, Dr. Sells, I've never driven a stick. Okay, you know what, baby? You get back over here and let me show you the gears.
I've actually had a couple stick shifts, but I was laughing, saying you wouldn't want to ride with me.
Yes. But it's transparent. It's saying, you know what, I don't know how to drive this. You know, if you want me to help you drive, I don't need to get in the car with you on this. I can't drive this. Then you can also be transparent and say, will you teach me? I know it's going to be uncomfortable, but will you teach me? I'm willing to stay late for lessons. I'm willing to come in early for lessons. I'm willing to practice even when you're not here. That's how you get people to come along with you. Very good. Real quick, as our time is winding up. All right, the other question is, again, are you a 5-speed? Okay, for those of you who are 5, 6 speeders, all right, this is some information for you, because some of us, and it's key because the majority, I did some research on this, the majority of the population aircraft, and when I say American population, cannot drive a stick shift. Most individuals learn how to drive an automatic, and that's what they stay with. Most individuals are not exposed to stick shifts in their families, right? And so they usually adopt to and drive what they're used to. Now that's a word for you who are leaders, because everybody can't lead. Some of us were designed to be different. We were designed to be stick shifts. We were designed to be unique and authentic. We were designed to lead for such a time as this. You were the one appointed, much like a stick shift. You were the one appointed to make this change. And you're waiting for everybody to be able to understand what you want to do and need to do, but they're standard automatic in their mind. You're a stick shifter. Don't apologize for that. Drive. What do? You sit in the driver's seat. Nobody else can drive this. What do? You find the clutch. What do? You keep one foot on the brake. You don't want to take them too fast because they'll jerk and they'll feel like, oh, I got to get out of here. What is she doing? She's taking me too fast. Find the brake. Ooh, turn on the key. This slide said, next, take your foot off the brake and slowly ease off the clutch pedal while at the same time stepping lightly on the gas. You've got to be a multitasker in this thing called systemic change. You can't be braking and stopping and clutching. And sometimes you got to do 2 things at one time, people, in order to move. Same time, in order to move. This slide says, now that you're moving, it will soon be time to switch to second gear. The more speed you get, it's time to shift. And continue shifting through the gears. You want to get somewhere, you can't stay in first. Sometimes you got to get up enough speed changers to make it to 5. And if you need to slow down, and you will, leaders, because change is hard, you've got to find your downshift. You got to find somebody to say, you know what, calm down. You go home, rest. Go home and see those 3 babies. Go home and do something for yourself. We got it. You've been running 50 miles an hour every second. Downshift. This work is hard, and I need you at your best. Downshift. Questions on that slide? For those of you who've never driven a stick, you're like, what in the world? Go try. I promise you. It's a different kind of power. It's a different kind of power. It really is. You leaders, you systemic changers, you have a different kind of power. Drive. All right, we got some messages in the chat. All right, show your team members that you trust them, right? That's in reference to, I think, getting people to come along with you. Sometimes we run into roadblocks. We must be willing to find another way. Very good, Danielle. Mona said, multitasking is something I do all the time. There are people in this office who tell me not to multitask and do things singularly. Well, sometimes it depends on what you're driving. Sometimes if you're automatic, you may not need to multitask, but probably in every system that we're in, mother, wife, worker, co-worker, mayor, director, dean, sometimes you got to multitask. You got to brake and clutch. Depends on the road. People tell me to downshift all the time. Yes, you got to find a way to downshift. Work is hard. All right. David said, Eleanor said, I'm both automatic and a 5-speeder. Very good. Because depending on the system that needs to be changed, you need to be both. Probably there's not a person, Eleanor, that knows how to drive a 5-speed that probably already also knows how to drive an automatic. My daddy taught me, Beverly Ford, because I was a daddy's girl, he taught me to drive on the stick. He said, you need to be able to drive anything in case you got to get somewhere. So when I learned how to drive a stick, it was easy for me to just put it in gear in the automatic. David said, it's interesting you're giving this presentation today. They appointed me to come and make change for the better, but we have a council that is resistant to change. They're stuck in the 80s. Thank you for being transparent, David. We have a special meeting tonight over a new pay scale, and it's going to be heated. I've spent countless hours working on it at their request, and they are freaking out. Going to be interesting. It was like pulling teeth getting our new personnel policy to pass. David, you're the person for the job. Give them the informed decision. Let them know you are a stick shifter in this. Sometimes you got to change gears when other people don't know how to. Very good. Thank you for being transparent. Mary Craft said, and sometimes we feel like we're in drive, but the wheels are just spinning in the mud. Exactly right. That's why we do what Martha Cosby says. We stay behind the wheel because I'm the only one that knows how to drive this stick. And we ask the rest of y'all to get out and push me out of this mud. We got to get to moving. We got places to go. Push. Got to get out of this mud. That's systemic change, people. Right. Beverly Ford said, my growth is the first 2 years as a councilwoman. I constantly called KLC and in frustration, slamming on the brakes, yelling. That's good. My next 2 years, I learned the KLC Bible a little better, called a little less now, that I drive a little more comfortable. They call KLC on me, looking for the brakes. Yes. The more you drive, the more comfortable you can become. And any of you, if you've ever driven a stick shift for the first time, getting on a hill is scary. Because if you're not careful, if you don't do the brake and clutch just right, you will roll backwards, even in systemic change, and feel like you're rolling backwards. But be confident. You got this. You are changers. Got another message in the chat. Okay, she's got to go to a meeting. Very good. Thank you. I may be looking for a new job after tonight. Anyone hiring, David said. David said, y'all, you might be looking for another job. So we got prayers going to you tonight too, David. All right. All right. Last slide as I wrap up. You all have been most gracious and kind in your comments. I absolutely love. And this presentation will be, I think, Eleanor, you can let me know, available to everyone if they want it.
Yes, ma'am. It'll be on our Equity and Inclusion website.
Okay,
KLC site.
perfect, perfect. All right, so I'll go over these real quickly since you will get the PowerPoint as we wrap up. The keys to a cultural shift or systematic change is you need to kick bad habits, you need to set priorities, and you need to build good habits and then instill systems, because sometimes it's not that people are hesitant more so to change. They want to see what you're changing to. So when you kick bad habits and you set priorities and you build good habits, you probably need something created to transition to, so they can see it, so they can understand it. Because sometimes, Ms. Cooper, they don't. They're like, well, it's easier for them to say, well, what else are we going to do? We've always done this. We don't have anything better. So you've got to begin to instill and change systems. And keep in mind that these 4 are not necessarily always going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes you got to start with instilling a system in order to kick a bad habit, in order to set priorities, in order to build good habits. Sometimes you got to build good habits first. Okay. But these are the keys that you need to a cultural shift or systematic change. Change is hard. When we talk about systemic change, it is just a cultural shift oftentimes. And I use those words systemic and systematic oftentimes in this presentation, like the driving, because we're so used to being in drive or automatic, like a systematic. It's just what we do in this system, that we need some stick shifters to change the systemic issue. All right. And then the last slide, to define another set of keys: define a set of desired values and behaviors in order to make the change. Align culture with strategy and processes. Connect culture and accountability. Have visible proponents. Define the non-negotiables. Some things we're just not going to do. We're not going to do anymore. Measure it. This is key. I love assessment. I love assessment. Oftentimes we try to make changes with no assessment. Evaluate, make informed decisions, and measure every step of the way. Don't rush it. Invest now. You want to make a change. Be bold and lead, stick shifters. Be bold and lead. All right. My time is up. I'm so glad we had this time together. I'll turn it back over to Eleanor. Remember, change is hard, but you can do hard things, and you are the people for the job. So go and be great. Thank you. Eleanor.
Thank you, Dr. Sales. Thank you so much. I've got so many notes here on, driving. How do we drive? How do we bring these people along? And so thank you very much for making it clear some of the tips that we can take. Again, as I mentioned in the beginning, this is way too in-depth for 1 hour. So I will not belabor much longer, but we have a couple of invited guests and staff members. We have our executive director, Mr. J.D. Cheney, who has joined us. And so we're very delighted to have him on this presentation. Also, Dr. Rhonda Talford Knight, who is working with us also in the E&I space. So I want to thank you both. And then I'm going to turn it over to JD to give his final remarks. Dr. Sales, it's always a pleasure. As I said, I knew you would not disappoint with this presentation, and you have not. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sales. Enjoyed that very much. To all the participants on here as well, a lot of leaders throughout the state. My clock is going off here as we close. I apologize for that in the background if that's overtaken. I am working from home today. It's a rare occurrence, but anyway, thank you so much for your presentation, Eleanor. Those of you that do not know Eleanor that's on this call, she is our driver at KLC when it comes to these equity and inclusion initiatives. Martha and I handed her the keys, and she's doing a phenomenal job for our organization and cities throughout the state to help us focus and bring about some change throughout the Commonwealth of Kentucky. So much credit to Eleanor for that. And Dr. Sales, again, thank you for your expertise and sharing that with our members and many of our staff people who have joined as well.
Thank you, sir. So we're right on time. It's 11 o'clock. If you have not signed up for our future webinars, please join us, and looking forward to seeing you all soon at different events through the summer and conference. Thank you again. Have a great afternoon.